This is the disturbing and really interesting story of the hacking group Lazarus. The group participates in worldwide cyber war. For the past years, they stole billions of dollars from global banks and other financial institutions. They also stole millions of dollars from cryptocurrency exchanges. They are also responsible for leaks of movie scripts and personal information from companies such as Sony. And all of this is probably happening on behalf of the North Korean authorities. Because the most talented and gifted hackers in North Korea have internet access. These sophisticated operations allow North Korea to get financing for their military research despite international sanctions. Because modern war does not only take place in the trenches. It turns out that it really takes place on the computers and on the internet. Enjoy the video. Lazarus Group, also known as the Guardians of Peace and Who Is Team, is a highly coordinated hacking group consisting of an unknown number of people. What's important to note is that they most likely work from North Korea, and some sources say that the group includes almost 7,000 highly skilled hackers. Generally, the details of the group's internal activities are shrouded in mystery, although we know some information about them. They are classified as advanced and persistent threat by multiple intelligence agencies around the world. They're known as Hidden Cobra by the United States Security Service and Diamond Sled by Microsoft. According to North Korean informants and defectors such as Kim Kuk-song, the group is known internally in the country as the 414 Communications Bureau, under North Korea's General Reconnaissance Bureau. North Korean hackers are sent to Shenyang, China for special training. They are being taught there how to deploy all types of malware on computers, computer networks, or servers. Their national education includes, for example, Kim Chek University of Technology and Kim Il-sung University. What's interesting is that one of the IT experts who defected from North Korea in 2004 identified Hotel Chilbosan, a North Korean hotel in Shenyang, China, as one of the main bases of the Lazarus Group's operations. However, on January 9, 2018, the hotel was suddenly closed by the Chinese authorities. What's most interesting, however, is that it's commonly believed that the Lazarus Group is divided into at least two separate units. Blue nor off. This group has a strictly financial motivation. They are believed to be responsible for illegal money transfers using false orders from the SWIFT system. According to the 2020 US Army report, Blue nor off has approximately 1,700 members who operate in financial cybercrime, focusing on long-term assessment and exploitation of vulnerabilities in enemy networks and systems for financial gain to finance the regime. Their targets are primarily all types of financial institutions and cryptocurrency exchanges, including over 16 organizations in at least 13 countries, for example in Bangladesh, India, Poland, Mexico, Pakistan, the Philippines, South Korea, Taiwan, Turkey, Chile, and Vietnam. It is commonly believed that the money obtained in this way is used for the development of missile and nuclear technology in North Korea. And the second group forming Lazarus is Ant-Ariel. This particular unit is characterized by the fact that it mainly attacks South Korea. Every organization in South Korea is vulnerable to the Ant-Ariel attack. The potential targets include government, defense, and basically everything related to the country's economy. According to the 2020 US Army report, Ant-Ariel has approximately 1,600 members whose mission is to assess network vulnerabilities and map enemy network for other potential attacks. In addition to South Korea, they sometimes attack other governments, their infrastructure, and companies. Cybercrime experts date the beginnings of the Lazarus Group's activities to the late 2000s. First attacks that can be attributed to them happened between 2007 and 2010. They use a whole range of sophisticated methods to attack as effectively as possible. According to the US Department of Security, the group's combined goal is to undermine the global security and finance Kim Jong-un regime despite the international sanctions. So what exactly are the attacks that can be attributed to North Korean hackers? The first attacks that can be attributed to Lazarus Group were DDoS attacks aimed at the South Korean and US military and web infrastructure. On July 4, 2009, on the National Independence Day, the United States government and their private websites were attacked. On July 7th, the South Korea fell victim to the same attack. The attack scheme was simple. Lazarus infected the computers of unsuspecting users, particularly in South Korea, effectively creating a botnet that later connected these computers to selected targeted sites, flooding their servers with requests. The estimated number of computers infected for this purpose fluctuate drastically, from 20,000 to over 50,000. What's interesting is that the malware used to infect the computers placed the text "Memory of Independence Day" in their master boot record. Thus, the boot data of hard drives directly referenced the American Independence Day on July 4th. The Lazarus Group attacked the infrastructure of South Korean organizations at least a few more times over the following years. Such DDoS attacks took place, for instance, in 2011 and then again in 2013, where they also employed other, more sophisticated techniques that, among other things, damaged the data on the victims' computers. On November 24, 2014, a group of hackers calling themselves Guardians of Peace disclosed secret and confidential information from Sony Pictures. The leaks included, among other things, personal data of employees and their families, email correspondence between employees, and details about the salaries of the company's executive staff. But that's not all, as the leaks also contained unreleased film productions from the studio, as well as various plans for future films and scripts for certain projects. After publishing the sensitive information, the perpetrators attempted to erase Sony's computer infrastructure. The motive behind the attack was a demand for Sony to withdraw its then upcoming film The Interview, in which James Franco and Seth Rogen were to meet the North Korean leader as part of a plot to assassinate him. The hackers also threatened to organize a terrorist attack on theaters that would participate in distributing the film. In response to these threats, major cinema chains in the United States pulled out of showing The Interview, and Sony postponed the official theater release and focused on digital distribution. US intelligence agencies assessed the techniques and sources of the breach. They concluded that the operation had to have been at least sponsored by North Korea, whose representatives of course denied involvement in the events. Opinions among cybersecurity experts are divided, with some doubting North Korea's involvement. However, over the years, other experts are directly linking these events to the North Korean Lazarus Group. The role of North Korean hackers can also be to finance the regime. Over the years, the group has conducted several more or less successful cyber heists on banks, stealing millions of dollars. For instance, during the cyber attack on the account of the Central Bank of Bangladesh in February 2016, hackers submitted 35 false instructions within the SWIFT system to illegally transfer nearly $1 billion from the Bangladeshi bank's accounts at the Federal Reserve Bank to their own accounts spread across countries like Sri Lanka and the Philippines. Due to some instructions being written with errors and the large transaction amounts, bank officials manually stopped most of the transfers. But 5 out of the 35 went through, resulting in the loss of over $100 million. By 2018, some of the funds were recovered, making this cyber heist a major failure overall. However, the group continued stealing and likely will keep doing so. A year earlier, hackers stole $12 million from a bank in Ecuador and $1 million from a bank in Vietnam. They also targeted banks in Mexico and Poland. In 2017, they also stole $60 million from a bank in Taiwan. 7 hours and 19 minutes. This is how long one of the most powerful hacking attacks in the world lasted, with Lazarus Group of course being the main suspect. Victims included organizations and institutions worldwide, from healthcare providers to major corporations and universities. The attack is estimated to have affected at least 200,000 computers in over 150 countries, primarily in Russia, Ukraine, India, and Taiwan. It was also a first example of large-scale crypto worm attack. A crypto worm is a type of malware that spreads across computers via networks without needing user intervention or human errors to continue infecting. You don't even have to sneeze for your neighbor to be sick if they're using your Wi-Fi. Specific vulnerabilities and flaws allowed the crypto worm to move through the internal computer networks of various organizations, quickly infecting tens of thousands of computers. The virus operated by exploiting a Windows vulnerability, and then it encrypted every file on the computer. To decrypt the file, victims were asked to pay around $300 in Bitcoin to obtain the key and recovery tools. The ransom demand doubled after 3 days, and if payment was not made within a week, the software threatened to delete the files. What's interesting is that the virus used legitimate and common software, Microsoft's Windows Crypto for file encryption. Encrypted files had WannaCry added to their names, which is how the name WannaCry originated. The attack ended when cybersecurity researcher Marcus Hutchins received a copy of the virus from a colleague at a security firm. He discovered that the virus contained a type of kill switch. The crypto worm periodically checked whether a specific domain name had been registered and continued to encrypt and infect only if it did not exist. Hutchins immediately registered the domain, causing the malware to stop spreading and infecting new computers. This unusual method of halting malware that typically requires months of hard work left researchers baffled. Another interesting and surprising aspect of the attack was that victims could not retrieve their files even after paying the ransom. The entire operation collected only about $160,000, leading many to believe the hackers were not after money. This simple kill switch and the low profitability of the whole operation led most experts to believe that some sort of state was behind it, and the main suspected aim was to just create chaos. What's even more interesting is that the flaws used by the hackers were known to at least a few people and organizations beforehand. The vulnerability that enabled the powerful attack was developed as a cyber weapon by the US National Security Agency, but was later stolen by a hacker group called Shadow Brokers. Initially, they tried selling this information on the darknet, but after an unsuccessful sale, they released it publicly. The NSA informed Microsoft about the vulnerability, which the corporation patched in their software, but the update was not mandatory, so most systems remained unpatched at the time of the attack, resulting in the extraordinary effectiveness of WannaCry. The US Department of Justice and British authorities later attributed the WannaCry attack to the North Korean hacking group Lazarus. In 2018, the cybersecurity firm Recorded Future published a report directly linking Lazarus Group to the attacks on mainly South Korean users dealing with Bitcoin and Monero cryptocurrencies. The report stated that these attacks were technically similar to the previous incidents involving the Sony breach and the WannaCry attack. In short, hackers exploited vulnerabilities and social engineering tactics to steal login credentials and passwords for cryptocurrency exchanges, allowing them to hijack accounts and steal the funds. The report also noted that North Korea uses cryptocurrency theft to circumvent international sanctions. It is also known that North Korean hackers stole 7 million from the South Korean Bitham exchange in February 2017. Another South Korean Bitcoin exchange, Ubit, declared bankruptcy in December 2017 after losing 17% of its assets to cyber attacks following an earlier breach in April 2017. These attacks were attributed to Lazarus. NiceHash, a cloud-based cryptocurrency mining marketplace, lost over 4,500 bitcoins in December 2017. Investigations into these cases concluded with one finding. It must have been the Lazarus Group hackers. In early 2021, Google and Microsoft publicly reported a group of North Korean hackers that used social engineering methods to target cybersecurity researchers themselves. Microsoft directly attributed this attack to Lazarus Group. The hackers created various profiles on Twitter, GitHub, and LinkedIn, posing as legitimate software cybersecurity researchers. These profiles were used to interact with the content created by members of the cybersecurity community. Under the disguise of collaborating on research, they tried to persuade victims to download malware or visit a blog post on a site controlled by the hackers. Victims soon reported that their computers had been compromised despite running the latest secure versions of Google Chrome with no known vulnerabilities. This suggested that the hackers were likely using a zero-day exploit no one had patched. Google later stated that they could not confirm the exact method used to compromise the victims' computers. Of course, Lazarus Group was behind many other attacks over the years. In March 2022, they stole $620 million in cryptocurrency from the Ronin network, a bridge used by the blockchain game Axie Infinity. The FBI confirmed Lazarus' involvement in this theft. The FBI also confirmed their involvement in a June 2022 theft when $100 million in cryptocurrency disappeared from the Horizon Bridge on Harmony. In 2023, users of Atomic Wallet lost over $100 million in crypto. In September the same year, the FBI confirmed that Lazarus had stolen $41 million from the online casino and betting platform Stake. A report published by the blockchain security platform Immunify indicated that Lazarus was responsible for $300 million in losses in 2023 due to various hacking incidents in the crypto world. In 2024, the Indian exchange WCry lost over $234 million in cryptocurrency due to Lazarus Group malicious activities. Amidst these cases, deep within North Korea, various operations, conversations take place, the details of which we may never know. However, NATO intelligence and other cooperating countries gathered at least partial information of various subgroups and units, giving us a glimpse into the extensive system of the North Korean cyber warfare. General Reconnaissance Bureau. This is the intelligence agency of North Korea that directly coordinates various units, subgroups, and organizations. It has responsibilities way beyond managing cyber warfare, as this is just one of their attack vectors and operations. Bureau 121. Bureau 121 is the North Korean agency responsible for cyber warfare and is the main unit of the General Reconnaissance Bureau of the North Korean Army. Established in 1998, Bureau 121 conducts offensive cybercrime and cyber warfare operations as well as espionage using cyberspace. According to US intelligence, Bureau 121 oversees many covert operations and consists of at least 6 other sub-bureaus. Its main targets are South Korea, Japan, and the United States. South Korea also accuses Bureau 121 of conducting GPS signal jamming operations on its territory. Unit 180. Unit 180 is another North Korean cell specializing in cyber warfare and is also a part of the General Reconnaissance Bureau. Kim Hung-kwang, a former computer science professor from North Korea, stated that Unit 180 likely participates in illegal operations aimed at raising funds for the regime, such as the Bangladesh bank heist. Lab 110. Lab 110 is one of North Korea's government hacking organizations, also strictly controlled by the General Reconnaissance Bureau. Over the years, we have also managed to learn how the typical North Korean hacker looks like. Park Jin-hyuk is a North Korean programmer and hacker. Essentially, he's the face of the Lazarus Group as an example of their typical member. He is also co-responsible for some of the biggest and most costly hacking attacks in history. He's also on the FBI's most wanted list. Despite these somewhat impressive achievements, North Korea denies his existence. It is known that he studied at Kimchak University of Technology in Pyongyang and that he previously traveled to China, where he worked on IT projects for the North Korean company Joseon Expo, a government front company that likely supported North Korea's cybercrime operations. Joseon Expo is also linked to Lab 110, a part of North Korea's military intelligence. Joseon Expo had offices in both China and North Korea. Information about Lazarus Group and North Korean hackers is scattered and ambiguous. One expert says one thing and the other one denies it. Some of them are really quick to attribute such attacks to North Korea, while others have more questions than answers themselves. So don't be surprised if some of the issues I have managed to discuss here might not be relevant anymore in a couple of years. The cyber warfare conducted by North Korea is a really complex topic. Nonetheless, I hope this video has been interesting and it intrigued you. The war is already happening. We're not exactly fighting with rifles, mind you, but with keyboards. As you can see, the cyber war being waged on a surprisingly large scale nowadays is no joke. Stay safe on the internet. Thanks for watching.